I want all of you fucking marks out there to always keep it kinky.
Oh, what is up, everybody? Welcome.
Well, that was epic.
The 5th episode of Freebird Rules.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
How are you two doing?
I'm doing, bro. I'm
Just
doing.
Okay.
Great as I'll
That
ever
doesn't
be.
sound good to me. Just doing.
Nah. It's just been it was a nice day, but we did a lot today. You know what I mean, I told y'all over the phone. I got a new barber who just happened to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Right,
Did we
right,
get that name or what?
I don't know. I still didn't get his name, but his like gimmick, quote unquote, is like he wears like this panda mask, and he had that like sitting on his mirror when I was there.
Panda mask.
Yeah, it's a panda mask. He's
We gotta look that up.
I'm gonna have to research that and see if I can find it.
He's like he's like a childhood friend of Sheila's. They go back to like high school and shit. So,
Oh shit, okay.
He cuts hair, and like aside from being a wrestler, and she scheduled an appointment for me, and I met him. He's funny as shit. He's a cool dude. But yeah, that was just like the first thing you see when you walk in is like it's a cool shop already. I've never been in a barber shop like that. But when you get to his chair, he's got this mirror, and then sitting right there is his mask because he does I guess he does like luchador stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty cool.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, we have a guest tonight, so let's not keep him waiting because he's only going to be with us for the first hour, and this man's got some stories. So, our guest tonight is a man named Ed Helinski, which, like I said, he is a local sports broadcaster up here where I live in Central New York, but I found out that he worked for WWE between 1983 to 1987. So we're going to talk to him about that and just get some stories from him. So please welcome to Freebird Rules, Ed Helinski. Ed, how are you?
I'm great. How you guys doing tonight? Thanks so much for bringing the grandfather on tonight. You know,
we appreciate you being here with us.
Yeah, thank you.
We're coming up on the midnight for us senior citizens pretty soon.
Feel that.
Hey, I got about 4 hours left in me head. You know what I mean?
Same.
10 p.m. I'm in bed if it's a work night. You know what I mean?
9 is pushing.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here with us. So, if you could just introduce yourself basically to our listeners and tell them what you do and how you got involved with WWE.
Well, I started a long time ago being a sports writer in the Western New York area. Went to school at Indiana University where our football coach was Lee Corso, our basketball coach was Bobby Knight, and our swimming coach was the legendary Doc Councilman. And of course, we lived across the dorm we lived at was right across the street from the physical education building. So we got to be involved with a lot of different athletics. And being a sports writer, I started when I was 16 years old. So that's 50 years ago. Do the math. And worked at a couple papers in Western New York before and after graduation. One paper closed. Went to work at the Citizen in Auburn, New York here. Wrestling show was coming into town in June of 1983. I grew up in Western New York. We used to watch Maple Leaf Wrestling and the wrestling out of Hamilton, Ontario, plus the Buffalo. On Friday nights at 7:30, they had wrestling on, growing up as a kid. So I got involved with it, had an interest in it, admired it. And when the show came to Auburn in 83, I asked for press credentials, which they kind of laughed at me when I called down to Cape Cod. And back then it was known as Titan Sports before it went national. So talked to a guy named Ed Cohen who gave me credentials under one premise that whatever we did, we sent to them. And I brought, the photographer Steve Taylor with me and myself. And it was a Thursday night. And we did a recap, but it was also a nostalgic piece about pro wrestling that I did for Friday's paper. And then back then on Sundays, we had what was, if you remember this, and maybe you don't, picture pages, where the Sunday paper page on one of the back sections was devoted to things happening in the community or a certain subject that they wanted to emphasize. So we did a picture page, sent it out, compiled everything, mailed it out to Ed Cohen that Sunday afternoon. Wednesday morning, he's calling me at my apartment asking me if Steve Taylor and I would like to fly down to Cape Cod. They're starting a national magazine, and would we be interested in being the chief editor and the chief photographer for that? So I'm 25 years old at the time, single foot, fancy foot free, and the whole 9 yards. Steve is married, no children yet, and we decided, yeah, we're going to go down there, fly to Cape Cod, interview with Vince McMahon, Linda McMahon, and a few other people. We're hired on the spot and negotiated our pay at the time and set our first date. And our first gig was July 31st, 1983, Madison Square Garden. Nothing like coming right out of the box, big time.
Absolutely.
You know, 19,000 people screaming. You know, it's a hot July night in New York City. We were wide-eyed, had no clue what we were getting into, and it was kind of cool. The first person who took me under his wing was the great Freddie Blassie. And Fred became my mentor. He became a father figure to me. I had lost my dad 2 years before that. So Fred filled a nice void in my life at that point. So he taught me about, come here, kid. I'm going to give you a crash course tonight. Excuse me. One of the things he told me was, watch between the matches, the amount of money that changes hands. People, and not just in that Madison Square Garden, but a lot of venues across North America, they had side bets with their friends on the matches. And you would see money change hands after every match on what the finish was going to be. And as ridiculous as it sounded like at that point, you saw it with your own eyes. And then, of course, Freddie would go out there, stick his head outside the curtain, emphasize some things, and said his classic Freddie Blassie lines, which a lot of it can't be repeated in mixed company. He knew how to get the nuclear heat in a heartbeat.
Now, I didn't tell you this beforehand, Ed, but this is an uncensored podcast, so you can say whatever you want to say on here. So just so you know.
Brother, I'm a grandfather. I can't be doing that. You know
That's true. Could be a role model.
So tell us about interviewing with Vince McMahon. What was that like?
Vince was kind of short and sweet, to the point. You know, this, I like what you do. This is what you can do. Can you think you can do a national magazine with us? You know, thanks so much. You know, I don't know. It was okay. I mean, I really didn't know Vince at that magnitude back then. So you just take the gentleman at face value in any type of typical one-on-one interview. So it was okay. I mean, we always knew Vince as being the announcer as opposed to being the ringleader. So we didn't know really what was involved with that until we got deeper into it and the magnitude of what we were getting into. And my mother asked me once, about 6 months into working there, I came home. She asked me, she goes, "Are you working for the mafia?" I said, "Yeah, the Irish mafia." I mean, and that's basically what it was with Vince. I mean, he had his ways of doing things, and everyone was a commodity. It doesn't matter if you were a wrestler or an office person or the magazine editor. You had a particular shelf life, and Vince determined what your shelf life was, and you were the last one to know. So that's how it works. I mean, and you know, I'm not ashamed admitting that, you know, he and I parted company. Hey, Hulk Hogan and he parted company numerous times. So I just did it once, and that was good enough for me. You know, I never came back.
Do you have any, you know, I mean, obviously we all have heard all the stuff about Vince at this point, but everybody who has ever worked for WWE has some kind of, you know, Vince story. Do you have any kind of interesting or weird interaction?
Vince is a brilliant guy. How he took the nation by storm was working tirelessly about 20 hours a day. The problem with working for Vince is that he expected you to do the same, except he wasn't willing to pay you for that 20 hours a day. And so that becomes a problematic thing. And where do you draw the line from business to a personal life and whatnot? With Vince, he was always preoccupied with business. He laid out his plan and told us, bits and pieces, including myself, on how he was going to take the world by storm. Everything was based on television first and foremost. In Syracuse here, wrestling was at 11:30 on Channel 9, WIXT back then. Some of these other stations, they were some ungodly hours, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday nights. But he got a great viewership for pro wrestling. When we went national with USA and Tuesday Night Titans, that opened up things. And then, we All American Wrestling on Sunday afternoon at noontime on USA. USA was the key when you into the cable. TBS came later after that, but everything was planted at that point. And the magazine, it started out to be, we're going to showcase our best talent. He kept guys like Bill Apter out and George Napolitano out, all these other great photographers and wrestling journalists. That's kind of a funny phrase, saying wrestling journalists in the same words. I mean, and I tell Bill that all the time. Yeah, wrestling journalist, my ass. You're just a hired talent, just like everybody else is or was. But what had happened with that magazine is that we were getting into other territories, asking to photograph some of these talents, just to, use it for material and editorial material in our magazine. And then the idea came up, well, geez, we'll go in there, photograph them. Steve Taylor will come in with a bunch of Vince's business cards in his pocket and hand them off to wrestlers who he's interested in bringing in. And Steve would shake hands, palm a business card over to them and say, Vince would like you to call him. And so we were going that way, and we were rating talent in other territories that way. Unbeknownst to them, when we did it in AWA, Blackjack Lanza followed Steve Taylor everywhere, including even into the bathroom. I mean, he was a hawk. But Steve managed to, pawn a business card off to Hulk Hogan. Vince wants you to call him. Here's his card. Bang. A few of the other boys as well too. And once Hogan fell, everybody came that way. And Vince, a lot of times Vince went in and offered to buy these territories out, and they laughed at him and refused. And Vince says, okay, basically you've been warned. I'm going to put you out of business. And he did. He rated their talent.
So tell us, what did a normal day working for the magazine look like for you?
There was never a normal day. I mean, and I'll tell you the reason.
Well, then give us some examples of exactly, what you would end up doing. We did television taping every 3 weeks, one night in Allentown, Pennsylvania, the next night in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. You would get up, you would leave the office first thing in the morning on a Tuesday morning. You drive the 2.5 hours from Stamford to Greenwich and be in Allentown. They started doing TV promos at 10 o'clock in the morning. And TV promos would go from 10 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night. 3 weeks from today, the Boston Garden, and you get a couple of wrestlers come on and say their spiel. And that would go on until 5 o'clock. Okay, then 5 o'clock, the breakdown on that. But we're also doing 4 hours of wrestling afterwards, starting at 6. The last hour was typically dark matches. Dark matches where you try out, give wrestlers tryouts. Number one. Number two, it gave the other boys a chance to get out of there without being hassled. They'd slip out the back door and no one would bother them because people were still watching live wrestling show. So we wouldn't get back to the hotel until 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then we would, maybe stop at the bar, grab something to eat, have something to drink.
And then we'd get out of there maybe 2:00 in the morning. And then we had to drive 60 miles the next morning and start that whole cycle again to Hamburg, Pennsylvania. And nice little town. It looked like something from the 50s. I couldn't tell if it was 1850 or 1950 at that point, but it was different. Then we didn't have writers. They talk about these script writers, and we didn't have that. The script writers were the wrestlers. It was the booking agents. It was guys like Jay Strongbow, who was one of the agents, or Gorilla Monsoon back behind the scenes. They were helping with the angles. The other thing that was important, we had all these shows. Yeah, we had the top tier shows, Madison Square Garden, Philadelphia, Boston. But then we had, second tier shows like Syracuse or Hartford or Springfield. And then we had the high school shows and then gymnasiums. And this way, they started out these gymnasium shows. They tried different matches, different finishes to see what the crowd would buy into, what was effective, and what they could possibly market in the mid-tier or the top-tier shows. And it was brilliant. And the guys were coming in every 3 weeks for TV. There were 5 or 10 new wrestlers that came in every TV session because Vince was accumulating all this talent. There were times on the weekends that guys were doing 4 shows. They were doing a matinee in Springfield, Mass. At noontime. They had to be at Madison Square Garden at 8:00 at nighttime for a show. Then the next day they're doing a noontime show someplace in Pennsylvania, and then they're doing a Sunday night show maybe in Philadelphia. So I mean, they put on a lot of mileage, and in a lot of ways it kept them out of trouble as well too. I mean, it kept them busy, and they made a lot of money doing it as well. They beat up their bodies tremendously during that time period. They really did.
So you worked for the magazine for the first year, and then after that you moved over to their marketing and merchandise, correct?
Yeah, we did marketing and merchandising, and that was the explosion of the toys coming on, and the toy rings, the T-shirts, Hulkamania. 84. It was when Sarge was still around. We had Cobra Corps in 84. That was the theme back then, the military thing. And then it all went kaput when Slaughter became G.I. Joe. And then there was a fallout between Vince and Slaughter over G.I. Joe because G.I. Joe was Hasbro and the WWF toys were LJN. And the two were direct competitors, and they couldn't be that way. Plus, Sarge wasn't willing to give a portion of his money over to Vince. So it became an issue over money as well, too. Money and power. That's how it works in wrestling. Works in the movie business and TV business that way, too.
So what exactly were your responsibilities when it came to like the merchandise or marketing area? Were you coming up with like creative ideas for merchandise, or?
We were too busy just trying to fulfill for shows. Okay. And we were robbing Peter to pay Paul because we didn't have a lot of inventory to work with. So things that didn't get sold at one show that came back to us, we were automatically recycling out the door within 24 hours to another show, and then praying to God that we would get more merchandise in for fulfillment. Plus, on the other hand, we had the mail order. I mean, you have to, if you remember back then watching those TV shows, the first 2 rows around the ringside, everybody had WWF T-shirts and foam fingers and all that other stuff. Was it a coincidence? No. It was all planted there. And, you got the kids at home saying, "Oh, Mommy, Daddy, I want one of those. Look, it's in the magazine. Oh, my, look, we can buy the magazine. You can get the form off the magazine." So that portion of the business exploded as well, too. The talent, the creative thing came from by the talent that came in, and the graphic artists who came up with the T-shirts. They were the brains of the operation and got things in motion. I mean, not just what the T-shirt design, but the colors of them as well, too. And it made a big difference. And then you've got the female side. You got to deal with that, the kid sizes as well, too. So there are a lot of moving parts with that as well, too. So we were always busy with all kinds of stuff. You know, back then we were doing posters, we were doing calendars. Nothing with photos, but a lot of T-shirts, foam fingers. What a pain in the ass they are trying to send in the mail or UPS.
About that.
It's something you don't really think about, I suppose. So you told me some interesting stories when we first talked. So why don't you tell us some of your behind the scenes stories? Because this is the kind of stuff that we as fans love to hear.
Which one? I told you a lot of stuff, so I'm not quite sure which one you.
Well, you can tell me any story you want. Any ones that come to mind that you think you know is appropriate to say on here? We'd love to hear them.
Well, we did. There was once back with the magazine, we did a photo shoot with the Iron Sheik, and the Iron Sheik was red hot. We did the photo shoot. We're going down to the United Nations, outside the United Nations. So I'm driving the company Lincoln Town car. Steve Taylor's next to me in the front seat. In the back seat, they got the Iron Sheik, Cosgrove, Bizzari, and Freddie Blassie. And around the United Nations, it's always busy. You know, this is pre 9/11. You know, parking was always a premium. I ended up having the double park. And I said, boys, we got about maybe 15 minutes. Get the photo shoot done. We got to get out of here. Well, they get out. They're all dressed up in Sheik garb. Blassie's bellowing out there, Bali, Bali, you know, so everybody could hear it. And Sheik breaks out the Khomeini flag and starts waving it. And we head towards where the flags are for the United Nations, that array of flags. And he starts waving it. And I look, mirrors, I turn my head, and there's people literally pouring out of the buildings around the United Nations. And it's not nuclear heat. It is up here. And I'm thinking, oh my God, one of us is going to get hurt. All of us are going to get hurt, or we'll get all arrested, one or the other. So I rolling down the window, come on, guys, we got to get going. You know, it's really getting hot out here. You know, it's October, and they're running to the car. Come on, we got to go. And they're jumping in, and Blassie's laughing his ass off. This is great. And the Sheik going, yes, very good, very good. And he's still trying to undo that Khomeini flag in the back seat. And they're like two kids roaring and laughing the whole time. And I'm driving the car thinking, I got to get out of here. And I don't know who's following me, who's going to be pissed off, or am I going to get stopped by New York's finest? So we got out of there and came back, and it turned out to be a great photo shoot with that. Then, on the other hand, we did a photo shoot with Slaughter down in Washington. Sergeant Slaughter goes to Washington. So we did an early Sunday morning shoot, 8:30 in the morning, figuring there are not going to be a lot of people milling around the White House at that point. So we get there, we walk in front of the White House, and Steve is setting up the shot, and here come these two gentlemen in suits. And one's talking into his cufflink. Okay, they walk by, they don't stop us. They don't say anything. All right. We continue our business. About 4 minutes later, here comes a second set of guys in suits. One talking into his cufflink, walking by. They stop. No stopping. Keep going. Nothing said. All right. We can keep doing our business. Here comes the third set. They stop us. They stop me and go, Mr. Helinski, how long will Sergeant Slaughter and Mr. Taylor be with? How long will you guys be here? We're almost finished, but thanks so much for asking. You know, I mean, I hope we're not being a problem or anything like that. And the Secret Service agent said, geez, if we knew you were coming, we would probably let you into the grounds. Well, you know, we like to work, on the sly. It's wrestling, and not everybody is appreciative of it. But thank you so much. And so we went and did that. And then we got in my car, which is a 1979 lime green Chevy Malibu, pleather seats, no air conditioning. It's becoming a warm day in Washington, and that leads to another story. But we go to the tomb of the unknown soldier. Very solemn, very quiet. Well, we get there, and there's some nitwits already yelling, USA, USA, Iran, down with Iran. And like, look, guys, this isn't the place for this. We got to take our shots, get our photos, and get out of here. You know that? Or we'll get arrested, or something will happen to us. We go to the statue of Iwo Jima, where Sarge is like mimicking the grip on the flagpole. We get that shot. Driving around Washington, I see an entrance to the Pentagon. Hey, let's go take a ride up towards the Pentagon. Well, you go up the driveway and you get up maybe about a quarter of a mile, and then there's three cars coming at you side by side by side. Thinking, this is not going to end well, and better do fancy talking when we get to it. So I turn around pretending I'm doing a U-turn and didn't try to outrun them or anything like that. And of course they pull me over, and a couple MPs come out, hand on their waist, on their holster. State your business. Well, hey, I'm so-and-so, and we're with the World Wrestling Federation, and we're doing a photo shoot with Sergeant Slaughter in the back. Look in. My God, that is Sergeant Slaughter. I said, yeah, it is. And Slaughter looks at him and goes, at ease, man. And it kind of broke the ice on something like that. And I said, look, I'm very sorry that I came up here by mistake, and I don't mean to cause any trouble or any problems, and nor do we. And they said, that's fine. We'll just escort you off the Pentagon grounds. Okay, that's good. So as we're leaving, I'm telling Taylor and I'm telling Slaughter, don't start laughing. As funny as it is, don't start laughing, because they'll probably stop us again, showing disrespect. So we waited till they let us go off the ground, and then we had a good chuckle over that. So it was a lot of fun back then. TV was always a good time when we went there. Everybody shook hands with one another. It was quite the brotherhood, quite the fraternity. There was a rule that when they were doing promos, as ridiculous as it was, you couldn't laugh at them. You had to put your hand over your face, which is kind of stupid, because if you put your hand over your face, they already know that you're laughing. So I mean, there was no way to win it. You could turn your back, but they'll say, "Why is he turning his back? Because he doesn't want to make us laugh and break us up." So that was some of the things that happened, and it was a lot of fun that we had or whatnot, and a lot of stuff that we saw at the shows, interacting with the talent. I mean, going up to Toronto at the CNE and Hulk on the outdoor show, that was summer of '86 was tremendous. WrestleMania 1, 1985. I'm sitting fifth row, and sitting behind me is Billy Crystal and his wife. And turn around and say, "Hey, Billy, good show last night." And he looks at me like, "Who the hell are you?" You just fake it till you make it. They don't know who I am, and I'm not going to let them. But during the magazine time, Vince said to me, "I want you to go on this radio station, and you're going to be the voice of the WWF after shows at the Garden, Meadowlands, and Nassau Coliseum." I said, "Okay, you're going to call this guy." And it was Scott Shannon. And in radio land and radio history, he is the preeminent radio programmer probably of all time. And he had a show on WHTZ Z100 in New York City. And if you look it up, they had their show in one year went from worst to first over like 60 other radio stations in the New York metropolitan area. So they gave me the name as Easy Ed with the World Wrestling Federation report. I had never done radio before, but Scott was very helpful and very kind, and coached me up really well, and it was really, really good. What had happened was, I'm a 25-year-old kid. All these other veteran DJs in New York City got pissed. Who is this young kid? Mm-hmm. I did business with your father. I knew your father for years. Why wasn't I chosen? So it was a hard lesson to learn about show business, even on that aspect of it. And some of them would show up, behind the scenes at Madison Square Garden, and you could see them. You could feel the daggers getting thrown in your back. These guys were pleading their cases, and after a while, after about 6 months, Vince just relented and gave it to one of these old timers, and I was kind of happy that they did, because you don't need to put up with that nonsense, even back then. So it's just one of those things. The other thing that I remember very vividly backstage at Madison Square Garden is when the night that John Stossels got the crap knocked out of him by David Schultz. I was about 15 feet away from it. And when Stossels came up with the point, asked him if it was fake, you could see Schultz rev right up. Was Schultz instructed to rough him up? I'm thinking so, yes. Do I know for a fact? No. But knowing the business as it was, and it was a quick learn and a quick education, yeah. He was
that is the story that he tells.
Yeah. I mean, he did get rough. I mean, Vince is not going to admit it. I mean, he's not going to rat himself out. There's no doubt in my mind. That or one of the agents told him to do it per Vince's instructions to rough him up. So that happened. I mean, and that talk about a lot of heat that we got and a lot of press that we got on mainstream media. I mean, that, and plus, when Cyndi Lauper came into the mix, and and now we've got MTV involved with that. I mean, the first WrestleMania, then the second WrestleMania, then the third WrestleMania. My 4 years there was just a sliver in wrestling history. But boy, it was a fun ride during that time period. It really, really was.
And so tell us, like, how exactly did your time with WWE come to an end? And what does that look like, being let go from them?
Well, it was August of 1987. We'd come off WrestleMania 3 back at the end of March, early April. We had done $500,000 worth of merchandise sales at that show at the Pontiac Silverdome. They'd given me responsibility to have bootleggers outside the Silverdome arrested, and we had about 5 or 6 of them arrested. I mean, bootleggers were brazen at that point. It doesn't matter what city it was. They were out there with their shopping carts selling all kinds of stuff, and people were buying them left and right. And WrestleMania was no different. And so at that point in my life, I was engaged to my wife. She was living here in Auburn, New York. I'm living in Connecticut. A decision was going to be made. Is she going to move there, or am I moving back and getting out of the circus? 4 years is a good run. I always felt that because of the lifestyle and how things were going with that, I'd be buried in some St. Joseph cemetery at a young age. So it was a nice transition to get out. But I was also up for a review and also for a pay increase. So when I went in for my review was, "I'm sorry, we're going in a different direction, and thank you so much for your services." Okay. Did I ask why? No. Did I care? No. Am I getting a severance? Yes. So they paid me. They paid me rather nicely, to move on. And I was fine with that at that point. Actually, it was a lot of relief off your shoulders at that point, It's okay. It's
that comes directly from Vince McMahon, or is this somebody else telling you this?
Oh, no. He has somebody else do the dirty work.
Okay.
No, Vince. Yeah, it's not done by Vince. No. He keeps his hands clean.
Wow.
I mean, it didn't even come from Linda. It was somebody else. It was it was a significant other of Pat Patterson's, Louis Dondero, who had to do the dirty work. Okay. And I felt bad. I felt bad for Louis, and he was very apologetic the whole time. I said, "Don't worry about it, Lou. It's kind of like getting a merit badge, being a Boy Scout, and maybe merit badge, or maybe becoming an Eagle Scout, one of that, I mean, you deal with Vince, and when we did WrestleCuse, I mean, just talking to some of the boys there, everybody I talked to, everybody got gassed by Vince. I mean, you're the commodity, and you're used as long as you're needed. You just don't know when you're not needed. You're the last one to know.
Right.
And he was growing his business. It kind of ate at me for a little while, for a few years, and I caught up with Vince at a show in Syracuse in '94. My friend Tim White, who was one of my ushers in my wedding, and of course, if you know Tim White, he was a referee and also the handler,
legendary WWE referee.
Yeah, handler for Andre the Giant for many, many years. And he invited me to the Syracuse show, and I don't want to go backstage with that, but where are you guys going to be afterwards? And it was the Hotel Syracuse. And so I go up the stairs, and after the show, and first person I run into is Vince McMahon. I said, "Hello, Vince." He goes, "Oh, come here, big guy. Give me a big hug." Really? Okay, Vince. I said, "But I want to talk to you later." And some people are looking at me. I'm here. They're shaking their head in the background. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But after about 3 or 4 drinks in me, I said, "Vince, it's time for you and I to talk." And I made my peace with Vince. And it was right before the drug trial, the steroid trial. And we, shook hands. And I said, "Vince, I wish you good luck with the steroid trial. And yeah, we'll see you around." And that's just the way it was. Met a lot of other people there, at the bar that night. There was Ted DiBiase who came up to me, and Brother Love was there, and Shane McMahon was there. Shane worked for me. I mean, that's how far back we go. And I mean, Shane was there. Vince with, Howard Finkel. We used to play racquetball twice a week together at 6:00 in the morning, the Fink. So, I mean, I don't have any regrets on that. It was kind of fun to do it at that stage in my life, but it was time to move on. It was time to grow up. It was time to get married. It was time to be responsible. It was time to have a family. But now it came around full circle, where this WrestleCuse event came up, and it was done through a media group in Syracuse, and they called me up because I speak the wrestler's language. And they don't. And I have some pretty good credibility with wrestlers, and they don't. So we began talks about it in August, and we had a pretty good show. They're going to be doing it again. They're going to do it next year.
For those who don't know, because Ed, my 2 co-hosts here, they are not from Syracuse. So for those who don't know, WrestleCuse was a wrestling convention that was recently put on here in Syracuse by Galaxy Media, and we had a bunch of wrestling meet and greets there. Kurt Angle, Nasty Boys, Sergeant Slaughter was there. There was a live indie wrestling show right in the middle of the building. So it was very successful.
Nice.
And looks like it'll be coming back every year. So and Ed had a big part in that.
Nice. We showed that video of you last week.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That was from that.
Yeah. Yep.
Spectacular.
Yes.
So Ed, do you
what else you got for me, guys? I'm at your disposal.
You brought up Andre the Giant, and I feel like when we were sitting down at WrestleCuse that you kind of started telling a story about him. Do you have any stories about Andre?
I do. After I got out of the business, it was I was in Buffalo seeing family, and my wife to be was with me, and there was a show at the Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo, and I contacted Tim White at that point and says, "Hey, where you guys going to be at?" He goes, "You want to come to the show?" And of course I said no. And I said, "Where are you going to be at?" And he said, "A particular hotel really close by." So we ended up meeting him there. And it's the first time my wife ever met Andre. And Andre's an interesting cat because he became a good friend, but it's a process. He doesn't befriend people easily, nor should he. It took me about 1.5 years, almost 2 years for him to gain my trust. And once he did, he was very, very loyal. So we're in this bar area, in this bar, way off to the side, minding our own business and whatnot. And Tim White, of course, was his handler. And Tim could handle himself very well. Tim was a former boxer. So he knew how to diffuse a lot of situations and had done so every town Andre goes into, if he's out in the public like that, Timmy's got to diffuse some sort of situation because you got some guys up there that want to cause trouble or want to take a shot at a pro wrestler. And that's the last thing you want to do is Andre to put anybody's hands on it. So there were a couple guys that came to coming. They came up towards Andre, and Tim just happened to turn like 2 or 3 steps before them, said, put up his hands and say, "Not tonight, fellas. Not tonight. Take it someplace else." And the guys did. And I asked him, I said, "How did you know that?" He goes, "I can sense it. I can hear it. And I can hear it on the floor. I can feel the floor movement that something's going to happen and someone's coming." I said, "No kidding." So we get talk now. When you see Andre with a drink in his hand, you know, here's my bottle. This looks like a maybe a small cocktail glass in Andre's hands. His hand would cover it up. And we got talking about our wedding and whatnot. And Andre goes, "When is your wedding? Can I come?" "Yeah, it's May 14th, Andre. You available?" Now, this show was right around Christmas time. He goes, "No, I can't come. I'll be booked in Hartford that night," which was true. He knew well in advance where the hell he was going to book and could readily recall it.
Wow.
Then he's having a drink with my wife-to-be, and he looks at her and says, "So tell me, what color are your bridesmaids' dresses going to be?" I said, "Whoa, you know, this is a pretty good one, Andre." I'm like, "Man, you guys are all right, you know." He could never live a normal life. You know, a lot of the places that he went to in cities, he befriended bar owners, and they always set him up in a back room. He had trouble in a normal hotel bed and going to the bathroom on a normal toilet. Airplane, he's buying 2 seats. They had the special van made for him that Tim used to drive around with, and a huge captain's chair so Andre could sit in it. Did he have back problems from all of this stuff? Yeah. I mean, it was 7, you know, they listed as 7'4". It's probably more like 7'1", but he was legitimately 500 pounds. So he was a big man. The stories that you hear about, the drinking stories, yeah, they're true. All of them are true. Each and every one of them are true. I mean, that's just the way he lived. I mean, he couldn't live a normal life. We did a photo shoot in Montreal. He owned a restaurant with Dino Bravo and Gino Brito and Andre, a little French bistro. And we did a couple shots with that as well too. And we said, well, let's go out on the street. Now back then, Andre was a heel in Montreal. He was known as Brother Jean Frere. And there was this little old lady, had to have been 85, 90 years old, walking on the street. Can't make this stuff up. She comes up to him and she puts her finger right in his chest, which means it's over her head. And she says, "Kill the monster, kill the monster." And I said, whoa, these people take their wrestling very, very seriously out here. I mean, and Andre was a great guy. You know, it's unfortunate how he passed away right after his father's funeral. Died in a hotel room alone. And when Tim White passed away, he was in a hotel room alone in Dallas on Father's Day 2 years ago in 2022. And Tim has done some pieces for TV. And one of the things as it broke him up is that how sad it was to have Andre pass away in a hotel room alone. And then the same thing happened to Mr. Tim. It's just one of those things. I mean, if you think about it now, a lot of the guys who I was close with are gone. Piper and I love Roddy. Oh, we had a lot of fun together.
Let's hear a story.
I'd like to hear a Piper story.
Well, no, I mean, all right. 1986, New Year's Eve, he's opening up a country western concert for Hank Williams Jr. in Tampa, Florida. So the company sends me down there. And we did some merchandise down there as well too, but they also needed someone down there to represent the company, so they sent me down there. And Piper is revving up the crowd. It's typical redneck Americana, country western music fans, and they don't know how to take Roddy. And Roddy's insulting the shit out of them, and it's taken them a while just to figure this out. You know that? I mean, and then he gets them going, and they're booing, and he's got them all juiced up. And at the very end, Roddy goes, "You know what?" And he leans right over. "You can all kiss my ass." And he lifted up his kilt, and he's wearing nothing underneath. Typical Roddy Piper fashion, nuclear heat, and Roddy as a talent, as a wrestler, and he was better on the microphone with Piper's Pit. And I'll never forget the night he cracked the coconut over Jimmy Snuka's head. Oh, that was classic. Or how he berated Frankie Williams from Columbus, Ohio, on Piper's Pit. I mean, all the classic stuff that you see on YouTube. I mean, Piper was just Piper knew when to get out. Roddy wanted to become a movie star. Didn't work out for him that way, but he needed to get out. His body was getting beat up. You know, back then we had a lot of monsters, big guys, Big John Studd, Andre. Adrian Adonis was getting up there in weight wise at that point as well, too. He was letting himself go. And Adonis grew up about 10 miles away from where I grew up in Western New York. And trying to talk to Adrian or whatever else, we had kind of a bond being two Western New York guys. But Adrian really kept to himself a lot as well, too. And Adrian was going through a lot of different problems with the distractions on the road, meaning alcohol and drugs. And that also got him in trouble with the main office as well, too. So, and then I never had a problem with Jimmy Snuka. You know, you hear the stories about guys with Snuka, and thank God I never got on a plane with Snuka. I'll just leave it that way, because he did some crazy stuff on planes. You know, they also had Buddy Rogers, monitor Snuka and became his manager. Well, that was just to make sure Snuka was making the appearance, making the shows. You know, he would get to the town, get in the hotels, and too much alcohol and too many drugs at that point, and he'd forget to come to work. So that's why Buddy was there, and you felt bad for Buddy, because it was the end of his career, the downslide of it, and he had to, was relegated to babysitting Jimmy Snuka. Don Morocco was a tremendous talent. Oh my goodness. Morocco and Snuka in '83, the heat generated by that. And Snuka just being able to go off the top of the cage, like at Madison Square Garden or all these other shows. Tremendous. Tremendous. I ran into Jimmy at a independent show around 1996 here in Auburn, and I talked my way backstage. And I walked by his dressing room, and I hadn't seen Jimmy since '87, and he ran right out, brother. Okay, Jim, how you doing, Jimmy? Blah, 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 blah. You never know what you're going to get with Jimmy, but he was very kind. And then afterwards, they had a meet and greet at a bar restaurant here in town, and we ended up staying till 4:00 in the morning.
Sheesh.
And he was peppering me about, how if I missed the business and whatnot. And I said, I don't miss the business. I miss some of the boys in the business. And he said, well, here's my phone number. Give me a call. And which I never did. But his son was there. He was his driver. And Jimmy had to get into the car because they had to be in Cleveland, Ohio for an autograph show at noontime that 8 hours later. And they had a 6-hour ride ahead of them. So I'm sure they made the shot. But that was the lifestyle at that point. But getting back to that show, I said to Jimmy, I says, how big is that ring that you're going to be working at today? He goes, I think it's a 16-footer. I said, Jimmy, when you go off the rope, if you still do, you're going to hit the turnbuckle on the other side. And he just smiled at me. And when he went off, he missed it by about a foot. I mean, and he's in his, back then he was in his mid 50s when he was doing that. And he still could do it. And the toll that took on his body as well, too. Now, the story about him and Nancy Argento, probably true. You know, things got out of hand. And she passed away. And, you know, the Allentown Morning Call doing the story with Vince allegedly coming to a meeting with a metal suitcase full of money. That he walks in the meeting with it and doesn't walk out with it. That possibly true? Maybe. But everybody who's involved with it, the only person who's left that's involved with it is Vince, I think. Everybody else is gone.
Yeah.
So just one of those things.
Right. So we've had you for about an hour here, Ed. I don't want to keep you all night, but you have talked a couple times about Sergeant Slaughter, and you guys are very good friends. Tell us about, you know, your friendship with Sarge. It seems like he's the one that you've gotten closest with from your time there.
I know a lot of things about Slaughter, and he knows a lot of things about me. And we'll just leave it at that for the you know, I know not to we keep the friendship on one. We it's an easy division. Business is business and friendship is friendship. And we don't mix the two.
Smart.
And that's the easiest way for us to do it. He was over dinner a couple weeks ago. He was talking about how he's looking for a biographer to write his biography, which he said it would be volumes. And he knew I was a writer, and he looked at me and I said, no, the ship has sailed. I'm not writing a book. No, nor do I need to, nor do I want to. That's a lot of work. You know, I'm semi-retired. If it doesn't work out well, guess what? You know, I'm to blame. No, thank you. But thanks for the offer. I was with Slaughter the night where he was supposed to be at his last shot at the World Wrestling Federation, and he was a no-show on the West Coast. And we were sitting in a bar in Darien, Connecticut. And that's when things heated up or had passed the point of no return with G.I. Joe. And also Sarge and his lawyer questioned how much he was being paid and if he was being paid fairly. And it was proven. There's a book coming out called The Six Pack by Brad Belugian that outlines it. It's pretty accurate. Back then, one thing you have to remember, if you became a wrestler in the World Wrestling Federation, they took your name and trademarked it. You lost it. Slaughter, however, was smart enough years ago to trademark it. And in a meeting with Vince and his lawyer, Vince with Sarge and Sarge and his lawyer and Vince, Sarge's lawyer kindly pointed it out to Vince that, no, we own our own trademark. You have no rights to it. And Vince went ballistic. And so the other thing Sarge told me, and I asked him this point blankly, I've read accounts that you wrote a letter to Vince asking to come back. And he says, that's not true. He goes, this is what happened. He goes, I was in Cleveland, Ohio at an autograph show. WrestleMania was on that night. And he ordered it from the hotel and watched it. He goes, oh my God, look at the production on this. You know, TV back when he was there was only a three camera shoot. Now this is probably 6 or 7. So what Sarge said was he took one of the stationery pads that's in every hotel room and a pen, and he wrote Vince a note saying, this is the first WrestleMania I've watched. Tremendous production on this. Congratulations on putting on such a great show, and best of luck to you. He mailed it off. And he said maybe a week or so later, Vince calls him. And Vince knew when his contract was up with G.I. Joe, and he asked Sarge if he wanted to come back to work. And that's how it went down. So Vince, if they summon you, kind of like CM Punk. CM Punk comes back because they need him. They can make money off of him. And then there'll be a time where they won't need him because they're not making as much money off of him or want to do the push with somebody else. That's just the nature of the business. That's why if you understand that, coming and going with Vince McMahon, the World Wrestling Federation or Wrestling Entertainment, that's no big deal. It sucks when it happens, but enjoy the ride while you got it.
Well, you got to go on quite a ride, Ed. It's awesome to hear these stories.
I did a lot in 4 years. Trust me.
It sounds like we probably barely even scratched the surface of all of your stories.
You're right.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Why don't you tell our viewers where they could, follow you, like on social media and stuff, if they want to follow you and maybe hear some more stories.
Hey, you can follow me on X or whatever Twitter that you want to call it. It's Mr. Ed, MRED 315. On Facebook, I'm Ed Helinski as well too. The good-looking guy. You'll see me with the one earpiece and the microphone in front of me. For my high school play-by-play playing gigs that I do here in Central New York. So I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And you're welcome back anytime, Ed. We really appreciate you giving us some time here.
Hope I didn't bore you or any of your listeners. So
not at all. Not at all.
And good luck to you with your barber. I'm thinking he's going to have his hands full with you. You know that.
All right, Ed. Thanks again.
See you guys.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Well, that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
A lot of crazy stories.
Yeah. So I never would have heard,
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's it's cool to hear somebody who's like not like an on-screen personality at all to be able to come on here and tell crazy backstage stories like that. Stuff that, we as fans are never going to see, but it's interesting as hell to think that somebody just got to do that stuff with these guys and they're not, on TV at all in any form or anything.
It's also nice to hear that it doesn't sound like he has any towards of bad blood towards anybody there. Any sort of regrets or anything like that where it's like, that's a nice refreshing take on it. Cause usually when you hear stories from people, it's very disgruntled, former employee type of stories. And that didn't seem that way at all.
Right? Yeah. It just sounds like you just saw it as like a legitimate job. Like it was.
Yeah. That's cool. What's everybody eating tonight?
I have
nothing
tortellini.
Gone.
Nothing yet, but I'm gonna make some turkey burgers probably.
Oh, okay. Wrap up. Okay. I made a little. I made some gnocchi with some a pesto Parmesan cream sauce and some Italian sausage earlier.
I never tried gnocchi, but I think I would really like it because isn't it just potatoes?
Yeah, they're like little potato balls. They're even better if you deep fry them after.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta try those one day. Yeah. I never do.
All right, so we're gonna take a dramatic turn right now. So we said, when we rebranded this podcast that we were going to talk about more than wrestling, but we were never going to talk, anything controversial or serious like politics. So this isn't exactly politics, but it's politics adjacent. And seeing as, when Con and I started this podcast originally, it was kind of about, fashion and the fashion of wrestling and all that. So clearly we have to talk about this. And talk about Donald Trump. The Donald Trump.
No, we fucking don't.
I didn't even see the price. I never saw the price. $3.99 pre-order.
They're all and they sold out. They're all gone.
I'm not shocked, bro.
Listen, bro. I cannot see one
Trump never surrender high top. That's crazy.
I cannot see one Trump supporter rocking this, bro.
You can't. I can, bro.
No, I mean they're going to, but like. Can they pull it off? I don't think so.
Oh, you mean like successfully?
Yeah.
I don't know. Might have that shit
well,
on.
I mean, look at him.
One of them might fuck around and have that shit on, but like
you right, yeah. I don't know, bro.
That's
gold is a choice. Gold is a choice right there, bro. Like
E on the tongue.
Ugh.
Well, obviously, especially wrestling fans got a hold of these pictures, and everybody's calling them the Nightmare ones.
The Nightmare.
I prefer calling them the January 6s.
Yeah, no, they are.
What'd you call them earlier, bro? The Air Codies?
The Air Codies, yeah.
The Air Codies.
This is wild. I need to know, like, whose fucking idea was this? Was this his idea, where he was like, let's release a sneaker? Like, who came up with this? You don't think the Donald came up with that one?
It's 1,000% his idea.
You think he's gonna wear these like at a presidential debate or something?
I better.
I think he would. It'd be fun. Actually, I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't wear them. Like he just made the shoe but never wore them. But I can totally see him in them. This is nuts, bro. This is absolutely.
So the other thing that's hilarious about it is these got revealed at a sneaker con. I can't even remember where it is at. Damn, why can't I can't think of what city it was in, but it was recent that he was there to reveal these sneakers at a sneaker con, and he got booed out of the building.
It's fucking me up that he made it a high top sneaker.
Right? I know.
He went so left, bro.
He's going real urban with it. He's trying.
Oh, bro,
he's trying to get the young urban crowd with
pandering.
these.
It feels like pandering.
Yeah.
I mean,
this was like Steve Jobs not Steve Jobs, excuse me. If this was like Bill Gates or like somebody else, I feel like it would immediately, like no question, be a low top sneaker. He went high top with it. Haven't you heard a bag of sicko ham bone?
Haven't you heard him though, Con? He's got so many black friends and black people that love. Haven't you heard him? He said it.
I feel like when he bailed Kodak Black out of jail, they had a long conversation, and we're starting to see glimpses of what some of that conversation was about. I'm gonna make a big deal about the fact that he made them high tops. That's the biggest thing fucking me up here. Is not the fact that he came out with a shoe. It's the fact that he came out with a shoe and said, "Let's go high top with it." That's wild to me, bro.
If he doesn't show up at a debate with these, I'm gonna be really upset.
This feels like pandering, and it's really funny.
The greatest shoe.
It's really fucking funny, bro. He's Donald
It's the greatest shoe ever.
Greatest shoe. Best shoe ever.
Never surrender. He called them the never surrenders, bro.
You've never seen a shoe solid gold plating.
They're so well made. We have the best materials.
Not that Nike.
So many good materials.
Not that Nike stuff. Not Adidas. Not a busted Adidas.
American made, but not really. But I'm going to tell you they are.
I'm gonna die if I look at the tag and it says "Made in America."
Bullshit! It does,
bro. The T on the side is nuts.
Even the T on the side,
crazy.
And on the
tongue is a nasty touch.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the side too. That's insanity. Crazy. Like that is not a swish, bro. That's a T.
The side of the shoe is the American flag, bro.
That's really nuts.
All right, so let's make an agreement right here, right now.
Okay.
The first photo, the first image any of us sees of somebody willfully wearing this, we catch it, we send it to the chat.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
We put it on the pod. We just we're gonna be on search for these.
Those little dots at the bottom of the shoe tells me there's more than one photo of this.
Oh yeah, no, there's a whole slideshow they got.
It had a whole photo shoot.
Yeah, I would assume that the next rap video that Ben Shapiro makes, he'll probably be wearing.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be my guess.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
You think we're gonna see this in a Foot Locker, a Foot Action?
Yes, it better be. It fucking better be, bro.
We're making jokes because this is funny as shit, but like, do you think we were genuinely gonna see this in our local shoe stores?
It's gotta be in Walmart.
I was gonna say I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of them on eBay, and they're probably going to sit there for a very long time.
That's true.
They'll be sitting in the champs.
I don't think so. I don't think the clientele are gonna go for that.
Yeah, okay.
Not champs.
$399 pre-order, bro.
$399 for these. Now the other question is too, is he going to come out with different designs every year? You know, are these going to be the Never Surrender
Yeezys,
ones?
The new Yeezys.
Are we going to get like, you know, the Never Surrenders 25 next year?
Bro, that's the thing. Kanye is like his friend, no? Like, why didn't he help him with this?
Yeah.
Like, he could actually.
These are the Treesies.
I got a friend named Omar. Shout out Omar, friend of the show.
Treesies.
I'm gonna ask him his thoughts on this.
The Treesies.
Oh boy. All right. We got to move on from that, but we had to talk about that one. All right. So a couple weeks ago, we started a comedians bracket.
A long time ago.
We kind of got off of it for a lot of different reasons. So we're gonna get back to that tonight. We'd like to. We're not finishing it tonight, right? We're not finishing it tonight. Yeah. So we're narrowing it down, I believe, from 8 to 4 tonight. Correct?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So let's take a look here. We can see Dave Chappelle beat out Eddie Murphy. Bill Burr beat out Mitch Hedberg. Bo Burnham beat out Steve Harvey. Ron Funches beat out Robin Williams. Cat Williams took out Kevin Hart. Bernie Mac took out Mark Maron, which that one still hurts me. Patton Oswalt took out Jim Gaffigan, and then John Mulaney took out Gabriel Iglesias. So tonight we've got Bo Burnham and Ron Funches, Cat Williams and Bernie Mac, Patton Oswalt versus John Mulaney, and then Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr.
Yes, let's do it.
So
what we got?
Start off Bo Burnham and Ron Funches.
Hambo, I think you should go first.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Ron Funches is my current favorite comedian, right? And obviously I've met the man. I love the guy, but even I am going to go with Bo Burnham here. Yeah, I gotta. Bo is just I don't know. He's on a different level, comedy wise, you know, than a lot of people. That's not just a Ron Funches thing. Than a lot of people on a creativity wise. Just he's just so talented, and he's so young, and I don't even think we've scratched the surface with him either. So I'm going Bo.
Con?
Bo.
Yeah. I believe I'm going Bo. I feel this round, this bout feels like Ron made it and just like is just now fighting in the big leagues, unfortunately. And that's just where we're at now. And Bo's just gonna wipe the floor with him because
Bo Burnham's just
for Bo.
I think no detriment to Ron Funches at all.
Fight.
It's no detriment to Ron Funches on my part. I just think Bo Burnham is fucking brilliant.
Sure. Yeah, it's all about brilliancy here. Honestly, I mean, there's nothing lack of funny on either side. It's just
because Ron's funny
on a different level, man.
Ron's funny as hell.
Yeah.
All right, so our next one. So Bo advances.
Yes, he does.
Cat Williams and Bernie Mac. I feel like this I want to hear Con on this one.
Me too. I wonder why. This one's this one's difficult.
This one's kind of hard for me. Come back to me.
I'm where I'm at. So I remember watching Bernie Mac, but I definitely don't have it up there as like one of my favorite shows. I definitely don't have like a favorite stand-up of his. But I definitely like remember like where I was when Bernie Mac passed away. Like I was literally on a TV series pilot. I was a what do they call it? A DA, the directive assistant for a pilot or for a series back in the day, and we were on set literally, and it happened. Humble brag, and we like stopped doing anything for like an hour just because like we were like, damn, this is crazy. I don't have a affinity for Bernie as much as I do Cat Williams. I have a favorite special of Cat Williams. I loved him in Wild 'N Out. I loved him when he was on Dipset for a little bit. I loved the interviews he did then. So for me, it's definitely Cat Williams for here. But this is a very hard choice because Bernie Mac is just such a legend.
Do you want me to go next, or do you want to go, Con?
Yeah, I got it. I'm a roll Cat. I think Bernie Mac is hilarious, and I use brilliant to describe Bo Burnham. That's how I feel about Bernie Mac as well. Like,
Yep,
his movies are more so kind of what won me over. I just think that he just knocks it out the park in terms of comedy. But Cat Williams, I mean, goddamn, I can quote Cat Williams. It's just the fact that I can quote Cat Williams more. I feel like Cat Williams has a lot of crazy side missions in his career that like no other comedian has been able to touch. He had a stand-up special in Grand Theft Auto. Like Nick said, he was in Dipset. Like that's such a weird side quest that he was in Dipset. And not only was he in Dipset, Dipset acknowledges that he was in Dipset, which is fucking crazy, bro. But like, I think it's just Cat Williams. It's Cat. Yeah. That was a tough one for me, but yeah, in the end, it's Cat.
Yeah, my vote doesn't matter at this point, but I am going the same way. I feel the same way basically as Nick does. Obviously I've seen the Bernie Mac show and I've seen his comedy and all that, but I don't have like I have like a weird kind of emotional attachment with Cat because he came along like at a time like these specials, when these specials started coming out, they came along at a time where like I was very young, me and my friends were all very young, and we were all, starting to get into comedy. And, I could not tell you, like you said, Nick, I could not tell you how much I sat there and like quoted Cat Williams, like with my friends all the time, So I just feel like he had a much bigger influence on my comedy picks than Bernie Mac did. So I'm also going Cat.
Cat wins there.
Cat advances, which means we get Cat versus Bo Burnham. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And speaking of tough ones,
this ain't tough for me.
Really?
This is what?
It's not tough for him.
No. Okay. I mean, it's not for me either, but I thought it might be for both of you. For me, it's Patton.
It's Patton for me.
Okay.
I love them both. I love them both, but for me, it's Patton.
Okay. I probably would have went Mulaney here. Stand-up comedy-wise, I think I would have went Mulaney here. I think as a stand-up, I am familiar more with John Mulaney's stand-up work than I am with Patton. But of course, with Patton doing everything he's ever done, I mean, he basically, in my opinion, blows John Mulaney out the water there with being an incredible voice actor, being an incredible actor, having that memorable moment we had, we spoke about on Parks and Rec and a bunch of other things, just a bunch of featured work and stuff like that. I think in terms of that, like I genuinely do. But I think as a lone stand-up, I probably would pick John, but Patton would win.
Sure. Rocking with Patton. I mean, same reason you said. Well, I feel like I'm a little more. Actually, no, about the same. I love them both equally, but Patton has just done a lot more that I appreciate. Mulaney's done a little bit of acting, like he was in that episode of The Bear, which I thought he killed that.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
you know what I mean. He was in The Bear. He's on Big Mouth. I like Big Mouth. You know what I mean. I know some people have their opinions on Big Mouth. I think I
like Big Mouth too.
I think it's hilarious. And yeah, I could quote a lot of John Mulaney, but like I don't know, man. Patton Oswalt, like for everything that John Mulaney does, I just enjoy it from Patton just a little bit more. Yeah. And
for me, like
his sense of humor, like Patton's style of humor, is like a little bit more my bag.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, Con. I mean, I'm basing my choices purely on their stand-up.
Yeah,
and for me, Patton he's just more my bag. Like he talks a lot about a lot of nerdy shit, and like I said, I do relate to that kind of like darker, depressing humor that he has. So really his stuff just resonates with me a lot more than Mulaney's did.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So Patton advances. Now the next one, boys.
This is the one.
Easy.
Damn.
Wow.
Easy.
Wow.
Easy.
Wow. So I feel like we know where you're going, Con. So say it.
Bill.
Yeah.
Bill.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle is fantastic. He's fucking fantastic. I don't think I need to even like defend my stance on Dave Chappelle. But Bill Burr just makes me fucking laugh, bro. Like, he really makes me laugh my fucking ass off, like, from start to finish. From the minute he starts talking to the minute he's done. He can talk for a whole hour. I am laughing my ass off at every fucking joke he makes, bro.
So I am. This one is hard for me, but because, my pick is Dave. Dave is my all-time favorite comedian, right? Bill is right behind him, number 2. Seriously. So my pick is Dave. Bill Burr, there's nothing he does that is not funny. He is hilarious. But for me, Dave Chappelle is such a huge influence for me. Like, I know that you weren't a fan of the Chappelle Show, Con, but for me, that's literally one of the most influential shows of my life is the Chappelle Show. So I can't vote against him. There's no specials of Dave's that I don't go out of my way to watch. They're always funny, so he's my pick. So that means you, Nick.
It's up to you.
I can't believe you did that to me.
You're breaking this. That's why I did it, because I was like, nah, I'm gonna jump in there.
Hold on,
I'm gonna let Nick do this.
Let Nick Bohr, 15-year friend.
No. Don't try to play that shit.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I'm just saying that Nick Bohr, who just also happens to be over a decade-long friend who knows what makes Con tick. Let him answer the question.
You know what, Nick? I don't want to have any outside influences on you or anything like that. So why don't you go ahead and give your opinion?
No, bring him back. Oh, that's fucking funny. Jesus Christ. Okay, so for me, right, I really base like my favorite people based on like favorite like musician, actor, whatever it is, on like when they drop new content, how quickly I'm going to jump to their new stuff.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I do this for both of these guys.
Oh.
So that doesn't help me. That doesn't help me in this argument, right? However, I feel like we've brought up brilliance in a lot of these conversations. And both of these people are incredibly brilliant. Do not get me wrong. However, I think Dave Chappelle has a slight edge over Bill Burr.
Get the fuck out of here.
So we are picking Dave Chappelle.
I fought for Bill, bro.
That's really a hard fucking decision. I want everyone to understand how hard that fucking is, because out of
all, even starting off, are like having all 32 of them, this is the hardest one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like once we like threw Dave, like we had Dave as our bye, and then we put Bill in there. I was like, that's going to be difficult.
I'm gonna keep it
if that's the final or what.
I feel like my decision was probably like the minority decision, because like I feel like if I asked like our friends that like Omar and them, like I feel like a vast majority of people would say Dave.
Yeah, if you hit the group chat up right now, like any of our group chats, honestly, they're gonna all
like. I feel like they all say Dave. So
yeah,
and I mean that should probably tell you something about your decision, Con. But whatever.
Listen, bro, I'm cool with the alternative decision. Bill Burr is fucking hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
God damn, he's funny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If we were going like full blown, like just like if we weren't picking like comedians and we were picking like just like overall like talent and body of work, Bill Burr would win, because Bill Burr is such a great like dramatic actor. Well, he played the Mandalorian. Bro. He was really good. He was in Breaking Bad. His character in Breaking Bad is so fire, bro.
He was in Reservation Dogs.
Yeah, like that. So him as an actor is so more than Dave, and Dave really only had those couple really roles. So it's like if we're going just based off body of work, Bill's winning like a long
Now,
shot.
make no mistake, bro. Dave Chappelle stand-up wise has some of the funniest fucking jokes I ever heard. Bro.
Absolutely.
Like the one about how his he went to his friend's house and they had the stovetop stuffing. Oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
Funny. The one about
I just love the baby selling the drugs in the hood.
Nah,
Yes.
I like the
Is that a
same
fucking
hero,
boot?
new boots. I love that joke.
Oh, yeah. My one of the jokes I quote all the time, and really only just to do the facial thing he does, is like he's talking about he goes and buys a gun, and like he's like, oh yeah, if you get this buckshot, it'll pepper him up or something like that. And he goes, pepper. Like I don't know why he does it that way. So like anytime I hear something and it's like off, I'm like, what? Like pepper. Like so that's yeah, dude. Man, that
Yeah,
is
bro.
so
Like
fucking
Bill
difficult.
Burr, bro. There's just too many. Like our boy Jeff. Like he and I can quote entire. Like I can quote 75% of his specials if I wanted to, bro. Like he's just that funny to me, bro. That whole shit about like him wanting to just buy something from the store and then needing his phone number and him getting weird about it. That's just funny.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If Bill Burr were on the other side of the bracket, it may very well end up, Chappelle and Bill at the end.
Oh yeah. No,
so.
if Dave and Bill were on opposite sides, it would have been the end. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So then next week we will have our semifinals and our finals.
Oh my goodness.
We will have
Dave versus Bo.
Dave versus Bo and Cat versus Pat and Oswald. And
that one's gonna be
whoever wins those two go up against each other.
So wait, I'll set that up so that way we have all the options and we can knock this out next week. So that won't be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. This is fucking difficult, bro.
Mm-hmm. All right, boys. So last thing before we get out of here, we're gonna make some Elimination Chamber predictions. Elimination Chamber coming up this coming Saturday, the 24th at 5 a.m. here in the States. I am not watching this live.
I am.
I will watch this.
I'm not gonna bullshit, bro. I might.
Nah. I feel like most of our group chat's gonna be awake. So like I'm up, bro. Like I'm fucking.
I actually for real might get up and watch this.
Yeah. I will be sleeping for at least another 3 to 4 hours after this starts.
Okay. Another thing too is I wanted to. So a lot of promos I've seen, like the images and stuff like that, has been blue, but I'm really liking the purple that they've been putting out. So I've been using a lot of the purple.
Yeah, the Judgment Day purple.
Yeah, dude. Like it looks so much better than the blue they've been using. It's like blue and white, but it's like this black and purple is just so much better for what we're doing. Like
it pops.
Yeah, it pops. Like look at this logo, bro. Like compared to the blue one, like it's so much better.
It's not a lot of purple used,
No,
like in general in wrestling, like in logos or even people wearing it. Yeah, a lot of blue, a lot of red, a lot of black. Not a lot of purple.
Green too sometimes, but especially this year because WrestleMania is in Philly. They're doing a lot of green. Yeah. But this purple, they don't do purple like that, man. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. All right, so there aren't really a lot of matches that are, at least not a lot that are announced already, and I can't really see it being, much more than what we have so far. But this will be first off. Judgment Day. I don't even. Do you guys remember what the hell Tyler Bate said their name was on SmackDown?
British Bulldog or something. British fucking. Hold on. It's on Wikipedia literally, but they haven't been calling them that on the shows. But they've been saying it.
Oh, you're talking about Pete and Tyler's names.
Yeah.
So it used to be they used to be British Strong Style.
I think it's that still.
Well, no, I don't know. Tyler called them something different on SmackDown.
I'm
gonna see if I can find that.
I did not know then, because they've been calling at least on the what's it on the Wikipedia page they've been calling.
Okay,
that's just Wikipedia.
So he called it. He gave them the new name, New Catch Republic.
New Catch Republic.
I would assume catch be talking about like catch style British wrestling. I'm assuming that's what that is referring to. I kind of like that they threw Republic in there. That's something different. You don't ever hear anything like that in wrestling. So yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah,
I think I probably would have enjoyed just Catch Republic better than New. I don't know why New's in there.
Yeah,
as
But
if
like,
there was a first one or something.
I've heard worse names, so I'll let it cook.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they have a chance though here.
Really?
Okay.
I don't have a dog in this race, but I mean, I don't know. I love Pete Dunne, and I love that they made him Pete Dunne again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, you know what? Nah, I need to recover from my loss.
Yeah.
JD.
Yeah, I just don't think being this close to WrestleMania, we're not seeing any title switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At least I don't think they want Pete Dunne and him going into WrestleMania with this. I don't think that's what they want. I mean, they could just win it right back or something like that, but I don't.
Y'all think they run it back? Like, let's say they. I mean, do y'all think this is going to be just like a one-off, or y'all think they're going to run it back?
I like the fact that they're getting the title shot right now because I really like Pete Dunne and I really want to see him succeed. I feel like if this was a couple months from now, we could be having a different conversation. But they're still like so new to me. Like as far as like this iteration of it, right? Because they were together before, but this iteration is like they're just getting back to like Pete Dunne is still brand new to the main roster. So it's like I just feel like it's too early, for them. But yeah, I would love to see them like run it back like maybe like a SummerSlam or something. Like that'd be nice. But I don't know. As of right now, I don't know who's taking these belts off of JD.
For me, I keep thinking it's going to end up being DIY at some point.
I don't know if people are liking DIY right now. I haven't felt that. Like I haven't felt like.
Ham, how do you feel about DIY? Because I know how I feel about him right now.
So I love DIY, but I don't feel like we're seeing the NXT DIY that everybody fell in love with. They're not being pushed in the same way. I really think that. It's weird too with Triple H being in charge. These two guys are two of his favorites. I mean, he signed them when nobody else in the company wanted to sign them. He pushed them when people didn't think that either of them were ever going to make it to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
But we're seeing a very, very watered down, generic version of them right now over in NXT. We got with Tommaso, we got the Psycho Killer. And with Johnny, we got, the comedy that he brought to like the way and stuff. So we're not seeing their personalities on the main roster. And because of that, it's not resonating with people.
And ever since dreadful.
Yeah, that's been wild. Ever since Ciampa's been here, it's been like gimmicky as hell. And it's been really upsetting because
I don't know. It's bugging the fuck out of me.
I liked Ciampa in NXT a lot. So like when he was finally coming to the main roster, I was like, fucking yes. And I know he dealt with some injuries and stuff. But like when he was wearing the same shit as the Miz at one point, I was like, bro, this is
the fucking the green and pink. I was like, what the fuck is it doing? And then with Gargano, who I mean, this is the best comparison I can give him, was like the Shawn Michaels of NXT, bro. Because I have never seen a bad Johnny Gargano match when he was in NXT. I'd never seen one.
Yeah,
and then he's in the main roster, and it's like, first, I mean, obviously he had a lot of outside stuff going on, but like when he first got to the main roster, like we almost never really saw him. And now that we see him, just like Am just said, we just see this watered down version of him. Like that's not the Johnny wrestling I remember seeing in NXT.
Yeah. I really think that
DIY. I absolutely love DIY, but this representation of him right now, it just makes me not care for him. And I didn't feel that way about them.
Yeah. I really think that they again, I don't know how much you were watching NXT at the time, Nick. Were you watching when Johnny had the group The Way?
I think I missed that part of it because I remember I remember Ciampa coming back from injury. I feel like that was like around like when I first started watching because it just felt like a big deal. Like I didn't know shit was happening. I just remember him walking out. I don't even remember who he was walking up to, or like it was Adam Cole or somebody. But I remember Johnny wrestling, but like I don't remember any group or anything. So I feel like I just missed that portion of it.
Sure. So I mean that was closer to the end of his NXT career where he was the leader of a group. It was him. It was Candice LeRae, his wife, Austin Theory, and then Indy Hartwell. And they were hilarious together.
Yeah.
So I really think that because Indy and and Candice are on the main roster now too, and nobody gives a shit about them either.
No one gives a
and
fuck.
And it's the same thing in NXT. They were allowed to show a lot more of their personality.
Yeah.
They were much more entertaining, and they have not been able to do that on the main roster. So for me, I don't see any reason why not just reform the Way, but with Tommaso instead of Theory, and let Tommaso. Yeah, I feel like it could be funny because Tommaso could kind of take over the Pete Dunne Butch role, where he could kind of go back to that psycho killer. He's just a hothead, always trying to beat the hell out of people, and Johnny's the one who's constantly having to rein him back. And we could, see those interactions all the time. I think it'd be a lot more entertaining, and it would help Indy and Candice get over too if we could see a lot more of them, all four of them together as a group.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so unanimous Judgment Day wins this one.
Yerp.
Now we know who Khan wants to win this one because
Yeah.
Actually, I in this case, I get what I want either way.
Okay.
But I let it be emphasized, I love Nia Jax. I love Nia Jax. I think she's fantastic. I think she's gorgeous. She's great. But in this, I got Rhea.
Again, no titles are changing, and Rhea is just she is just levels above Nia right now. There's no way that Rhea is not going into Mania as the champion. So
hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no. Yeah,
I love this. I love this shot of Rhea too. It's very Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, it's very crazy.
I like it. But I mean, I don't know what Rhea could do to not be attractive. You know what I mean?
She has to actually try.
I don't know. I don't know if she could.
I think she would have to actually put forth effort and a lot of it.
She could be as bald as me, and I'd probably still go for it if we're being honest.
I feel that.
This is stacked, by the way. This is
stacked as fuck.
When I saw this morning, I was like, well, this is crazy.
To me, this is one of the most stacked, hard to call elimination chambers since probably the second or third one back in like 2008-9, when they used to always put just straight up main eventers in it, and that's all we're seeing here. It's 4 former world champions, Logan Paul, who's one of the biggest stars in the world, and then LA Knight, who is one of the most popular guys on the roster right now.
So I had this conversation with this guy that I work with because he tells me that he watches WWE with his son, and he really watches WWE. So I'm gonna tell you who I think is gonna be, but he thinks it's gonna be Randy, right? He's gonna say it's gonna be Randy. I think it's gonna be Drew.
I also think it's gonna be Drew because I still have the mindset that somehow Sami Zayn is going to work himself back into it, and we're going to end up getting Sami and Drew and Seth on night 2 for the world title.
I would not be mad at that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm also picking Drew. I just think the story's going that way. I also think the story's going towards Logan Paul and LA Knight fighting in WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's what I've been calling that for 6 months now, and this is where they're going to have their issue to lead to it.
I don't know where this leads, like Bobby and Randy and KO, but I mean, I think they're just going to play a huge role in this being. I mean, I think the first 2 are going to be Logan and LA Knight probably, and they're going to fight for a good bit, and then Sun's going to go down. Also, I feel like Drew might start it off as well, though. So I don't know how they're going to do this, but yeah, this is so incredibly stacked. If the story wasn't so clearly going for Drew versus Seth, then this would be really difficult.
Right.
Like if there was no real dog in the fight here, I don't even know if I could make a decision. Yeah. I probably would go with LA Knight just because I feel like, again, he's so white hot, and Logan Paul doesn't need it because he's U.S. champion and whatever. But the story's just going so much towards. I like the triple threat idea. I didn't even thought about that.
I think my prediction that has nothing to do with the winner of the match is going to be that LA Knight is going to be the one who eliminates Logan Paul, and that's going to kick off their feud to lead into WrestleMania for the title.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be sick because that'll be a really nice, all eyes on that fight. whenever that goes down.
Yep. Can you? Because I've been saying this for 6 months. LA or not 6 months, but however long Logan Paul has had the U.S. title. Logan Paul and LA Knight at WrestleMania, and I cannot wait, especially because I'm going to be there. I cannot wait to hear the fucking pop when LA Knight finally wins a title. It is going to be insane.
That's going to be second best pop of the weekend because the first one will be Cody. You know, like like people are going to be crying when and hopefully when
it's
Cody
going to be
wins, bro.
Deal, but when LA wins, people are going to
I might cry, bro.
Yeah,
people are going to be bawling their eyes out witnessing that shit. So second pop will go to LA Knight winning that U.S. championship.
Now I remember me and Ham when like Punk getting injured and then Cody being what looked like being taken out of the main event. I remember me and Ham specifically were like, bro, our excitement for WrestleMania has dwindled, right? But with what has happened these last couple of weeks, it's definitely gone back up for me. I do the promo that Seth cut on Cody this past Monday definitely made me like kind of get into Seth more. Because I mean, these last couple of weeks, bro, WWE was like really just not making them look good.
Shitting on them, bro.
They were really not making them look good, but that promo kind of helped for me. I do like the idea. And I'm hoping now that Hambone said it, that they do go the Drew versus Seth versus Sammy route, because I would love to see that. Like, especially because it looks like that's going to be the story with Sammy right now, where he's trying to find a way into WrestleMania.
Yeah. And let me tell you, the other thing with that is too, if this happens, I think it'll be the third biggest pop if Sammy is the one who walks out with the title.
Oh my God, yeah. Cody and Sammy being the two world champions would be insane. Like, what a flip from what has been, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how
and you know, I understand, you know, some people saying they don't see Sammy as a world champion, and that's fine. And I can understand somebody saying I don't see him as like a long-term world champion. Okay. But I think Sammy is absolutely a guy who can carry that title for 3 to 6 months and finally have some, you know, fresh matchups. We know Sammy can go. He'll put on some great matches, and then, you know, he can drop it to whoever. But that you know, Punk getting taken out, you know, as we talked about, that really killed a big part of it for me. But if it ends up that Sammy walks out as the world champion, it'll almost make up for it for me, because I'm that big of a fan of Sammy. I support him that much, and I would love to see him as world champion. I think he deserves it. So
on top of that too, bro, if it's just Drew and Seth at WrestleMania, I have Seth winning that. I really do.
Yeah.
Because I really like this. I just feel like Drew's time, unfortunately, like very unfortunately, happened in 2020 during the pandemic. That's when it was. And I just don't see it as that, as a world champion. I don't see it as anymore. Like
really?
And like also like this work, like he's really compelling right now too. And that's the sad part of it. I just don't think there's so many other choices. Like Sammy's such a good choice in my opinion. And like Seth is the safe choice. Like no one's gonna hate on really Seth. I mean, we're probably gonna get exhausted of it, and we kind of have been being.
No, I get what you're saying.
But like, it's the safest choice because it's just like
you're gonna get good matches out of them. They love them. I get it.
You're right. It's just like it's gonna continue on being, you know, that. And the only reason I can see Seth dropping it to Drew is just because he's just so injured. You know, like it's just like okay, they kind of have to drop it to him at this point because it's just like there's no other choice. But I feel like with Sammy, Drew, and Seth are the three-way, like it's definitely going to Sammy.
I think what I would see happening is somehow, you know, Drew will win the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
Sammy will somehow work himself into the three-way.
Yep.
Sammy wins the title, and then after that, it's, you know, Sammy's going to have whatever feuds he's going to have, but the person who's going to take the title off of him, you know, maybe like 3-4 months later, it'll end up being Drew, and then Punk will come back around SummerSlam. And then that's the feud that we're going to get is Punk and Drew.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
So let's talk about this a little bit though, before, you know, because we kind of brought, you know, we were talking about Cody. So we got to talk about this because we were all very upset. And, you know, I mean, it does sound like, you know, the plan was Rock and Roman, but.
Oh, wow. We haven't recorded since this happened.
We have not.
I just thought about it. I was like, damn. I was like, we talk about this? No, we're good.
Yeah.
My bad.
So yeah, it does seem like the plan was Rock and Roman, and then Rock saw the negative reaction to not having Cody be in it, and he conceded that okay, that should be it. That this isn't what they want right now, so give them what they want. So, and I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there were a couple hints on SmackDown. It kind of looks like Rock's probably going to turn on Roman. It looks like that's where it's going.
I saw a little bit of that.
And I kind of think that's what's going to happen. If that is what happens, then you can finally make sense of what happened the last couple weeks. Because Cody came out, he said he wasn't going after him at WrestleMania. Then we saw Rock, whisper something in his ear. We don't know what he said, but it could end up being that Cody comes out after WrestleMania and says, "Hey, this was the plan all along. Rock and I set this up because I knew that I was not going to have a fair shot, and Rock would back me up at WrestleMania so that I could get my fair match, and then we get a year to build up to Rock and Roman."
Yeah, because I feel
all this was just a plan to make Roman believe that Rock was on his side.
I mean, I feel like Rock and Roman are going to go away for a while after WrestleMania, and probably won't come back till like Royal Rumble time next year. And then it's like, oh, we're gonna get this now at Mania 41 because of what happened, because of what Rock did and everything. So I feel like that's kind of where we're headed because both of these guys don't need to be here after WrestleMania,
right? And
then come January 2025, we're gonna be so excited for this that it doesn't even matter how it's packaged to me. Just give it to me at that point because it's not in the way of anything else now.
Imagine, what I'm thinking is maybe afterwards we kind of get so remember, when we had Cena versus Rock and we had a full year of build up for that match. Literally, it was the night after WrestleMania, Cena challenges Rock for next year. And then basically what we got was throughout the year, we got a lot of little check-ins, right, from The Rock. He would come out, he would cut a promo every couple months. We'd get a little back and forth between them. And I feel like that's what we'll get between Rock and Roman. They'll go away after WrestleMania, but we'll still get little promos, videos, things like that from them both. And then imagine that Roman does not come back until the Rumble next year. He's an entrant, and he's about to win.
Oh, that'd be
crazy.
The
Rock comes out, and The Rock takes him out of the Rumble. And then we get to Mania with them two versus each other for no title, just the title of head of the table. That's the title that's on the line.
Do me a favor, and do not announce either of these men for next year's Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah, no,
don't fucking do it.
Nope.
Surprise!
Let Roman be a surprise entrant. He comes in first.
We hear that buzzer and the fucking chorus hits. I'm like, whoa, that's gonna be fucking.
Don't say a fucking word, bro.
Do not fucking tell me shit. I don't want to hear about Rock or Roman being there, bro.
And then a couple more later, we get If You Can Smell hits. The fucking crowd will go crazy again.
That'll be the greatest Royal Rumble ever.
Right? Boy, what?
Yeah, no, that's gonna be insane.
All right, so there's only one other match for Elimination Chamber, and we don't even know all of the participants yet, so we're kind of just going to be going off of what we got.
We know two more than what this graphic shows. Unfortunately, we do know that Tiffany Stratton is in here, and Naomi is also in here. The last one is going to be.
It was supposed to be Shotzi probably, but then Shotzi just got injured, so.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a battle royale, I guess, on Raw.
Last chance battle royal.
Yeah, so that's gonna be.
Who was the other one, Nick? It was Tiffany Stratton and who? Why am I blanking?
Naomi.
Okay.
Naomi. She won last 2 nights ago.
I feel like this one was obvious too. I mean, I don't think that you sit there and drop all these hints from Becky to Rhea and then not have her win. So.
Yeah, Becky.
I feel like we're all saying Becky here. So the question is, do you guys think that Becky beats Rhea at Mania? Because I don't. I say Rhea walks out with the win on that one.
I think so
absolutely too. Not. Yeah, I think they want this to really solidify Rhea as a champion.
Yeah, exactly.
You beat a four horsewoman. You beat one of the faces of the fucking company that we have here.
Yep.
Not to mention, you went into 2 WrestleManias in a row and left 2 WrestleManias in a row as the women's champion.
Exactly. Yep. Like that's a lot of accolades in one bout. You know, like
I think so too, because like I don't know, there's just certain things that have happened throughout the year that have just like kind of just told us like how highly WWE thinks of Rhea Ripley. Like she's on the cover of the video game that's coming out this year. They just posted the stat that evidently her player is the highest ranked like woman ever at 96. You know what I mean?
Highest ranked woman ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
With a 96
rating. I
rating.
didn't hear about that.
I mean, I just think that they're just really, really just pushing it to the moon, which rightfully fucking so, bro. She's not apart. So I think Becky's gonna win this Elimination Chamber, but I think Rhea's gonna beat her at Mania.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I think I don't even think arguably. I think just factually, Rhea is the most over popular woman in the company right now, even more so than Becky. And I've said this before, and it's not a shot at Becky. Becky is still very popular. She's still putting on, good matches. The fans are still behind her, but she has had her peak and she's on the downslope now. And that's fine. That's not a big deal. But now it's very obviously Rhea being put in that spot now. And I think that's the best thing to do is let Rhea beat Becky too. And like you said, really solidify that she is the one now. Yeah. And she's going to be the one probably for a lot longer than Becky was, because she's a lot younger than Becky was when Becky finally, really hit.
Yeah.
So
I think some shit. I think Bianca, they really love Bianca because like they literally just gave her a show, and they put her on every piece of promo they can put her on, So I mean, Bianca's definitely like there, and I think Bianca, because of just, I don't want to use the word safe because safe just sounds kind of like a demeaning term a little bit.
It doesn't have to be, because it's just like I get what you're saying when you say safe. It's like she's like I don't know, quote. I'm a fumble around saying this, but like if some shit goes wrong and we just need someone to fill that in who could do the job well,
sure,
right. In that case, it's a safe choice, but I don't think that necessarily means like derogatory, because it's just like she's perfect until we figure out what to do next.
Right.
It's her.
And she's just so damn good at everything outside of the ring too. She's the perfect person to throw out there for a media event or to do some public relations or things like that, because she's just good at it. She is, when she's not being, obviously right now she's a babyface, so it doesn't matter. But when she's not being a character, Bianca is just very naturally likable. It's hard to dislike her as a person. She's just a very good person to throw out there for that. She's always probably going to have a top spot in the company. Now what she's going to do at WrestleMania at this point, I have no idea.
No, I have no idea. Her and Cody are that for me with WWE right now. I think they're both like that. They're both like, if we were in the middle of a crisis, just send them out there and let them talk for 7 minutes.
There's another one on the cover of the video game. You know what I mean? That's a big deal.
Yeah. And Bianca's already so decorated too in such a short time. Like she was a champion for a long time.
Right.
She came out of NXT top contender. Like she's already so decorated.
I think she'll be
absolutely. And I think that's a big part of it right now too, Nick. I think that's a big part of her where she is on the card right now, because she was champion for so very long. And as great as Bianca is, there were a lot of fans who were complaining about a little bit of overexposure and getting tired of her. And
for sure,
and that's natural for anybody, So I think that's kind of their plan right now for her as well. We got, let's cool her off a little bit so people don't completely turn on her, So
it sounds like it's working, because I mean, people pop for her.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I am interested to see what she's going to do on Mania. While I'm like, she doesn't need to be in a title match. It's like, okay, well, what is she still should probably be there though.
I still want to see her.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get Jade and her
something with Jade. Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do it. I just think they're just going to like do a little feud real quick and then have them open up a night, and then just have that going, because they definitely want to put Jade out there. Yeah. And as far as right now, she's not on this pay-per-view. The next one is WrestleMania, so they want her at some point. They've got her, backstage with Nick Aldis signing contracts and stuff. Yeah. They want her at some point. It's might as well be WrestleMania.
I would love
pick,
I would love to see Jade and Bianca just as a fucking dominant tag team. Just win those titles and hold them for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
I feel like they'd be a very interesting team together.
I agree.
Maybe even that's how you turn Bianca heel again. Yep. You know, you have Jade come out and say, "Hey, you know, you're a fucking star, and you're not acting like you used to be. You're better than this." You know.
Yeah. I've also never seen Jade work as with a partner with anybody. She's always been a boss and, you know, been like the number one. So like her working with somebody, you know, especially with, you know, very marketable and very awesome Bianca Belair. I mean, that would set her to the moon.
Yeah. So that's Elimination Chamber. So next week we will be back. We will review what happens at Elimination Chamber. We will wrap up our comedians bracket, and then, boys, it's that time of year.
It is
that time of year where it is time for March Madrip. That's something that we started where we take. So we've been the entire year since WrestleMania of last year. We've been paying attention to the best outfits that wrestlers have been wearing at events over the past year. Doesn't matter where it's from, whether it's, you know, WWE, AEW, Impact, New Japan, wherever. And we have right now, I believe there's like 49 people on there. There's 49.
Do you have the slide pulled up?
No, I don't, but I could add it real quick. I mean, it'll take me 2 seconds.
Shit, we got 10 minutes. We can just look at them.
You want to take a look at what we got so far?
Okay,
I might have to roll out very soon because my dog is being very demanding to take him outside.
Nah, you're fine. Yeah, I just want to see what these, because I have honestly, I forget what we got on here at this point, you know.
Right, and so like I said, I'm also going to after Elimination Chamber, I will add if there are any more, you know, good looks that, you know, come from that.
Absolutely. I'm sure Rio will probably dress out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Logan might have some shit on too.
Yeah, Logan will have that shit on. Logan will have that shit on. Yeah. And if we see Jade, she's gonna have that shit on.
Oh yeah.
She gonna have that.
She might just be in the crowd with that shit.
Naomi
on.
too.
Oh, Naomi came out at fucking the Rumble. That she was killing that shit.
Yeah. Naomi's she's on the list, not for the Rumble one, but she is on the list.
No, she's
StreamYard is not letting me add it though, so we're gonna have to take a look. Yeah, another time. But yeah, right now there's probably like 49 options on there. I'll add whatever, you know, comes up if there's anything good at Elimination Chamber. And then what we are going to do next week is we are going to, as a group, we are going to choose 2 people. It's going to be a field of 32. So we're going to choose 2 people who get a bye to go right into the tournament. And then Con, Nick, and I will each draft 10 picks. And then those are going to go up against each other every week until at the end of March, we will declare the winner of March Madrip 2024.
Let's get it.
I can't wait for that. I really enjoyed when we did it last year. It was very fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
All right, so let's get out of here. You guys tell everybody where they can find you. Or we could just say, look at the thing.
Look right here.
Yeah, it's right here.
You can read.
Yeah. Go back and watch that, and you can find it.
Go to the little scrolly thing.
He's like really pressing.
Yeah.
Like, we can nudge my chair.
Finn's like, hey, I don't care about wrestling. I don't care about comedians.
Finn's in a rush. Listen, Finn's got to pee, guys, so we got to go, okay? Yeah. We got more important things happening.
I'm coming, bro.
So we will see you guys. We're being judged right now.
Right.
Look at that. Look at that face. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care about Bill Burr.
Yeah. He's not happy. So we'll see you guys next week, 6 p.m. As always, keep it kinky, Marks.